It's time to get real. Get real. Talking about the things you wanna hear. It's time to get real. Get real. We got it all right here. It's time to get real. Get real. Better buckle up, get real, get set. It's time to get real. Get real. We got it all right here. Come on. Whoa. Whoa.
I'm Luis Pedron, Festival Director of the International Film Festival Manhattan. But today, I am the host of Get Real. On behalf of Janet Marco, who's not here right now, she's traveling the Philippines. I am Luis Pedron here in Queens, New York. I'm so excited about things happening. Restaurants are open now. Certain capacity vaccines are being given to everyone. I'm excited about J&J, by the way, Johnson & Johnson. But so many things to talk about. But today, we have a Filipino-American who's actually running for a council seat here in the District 26 in New York City. It's like almost along the 7 train. That's parts of Astoria, Long Island City, Sunnyside, and Woodside. Ladies and gentlemen, the most hardworking Filipino-American here in the Woodside, Little Manila area. Ladies and gentlemen, Steven Rada! Woohoo!
Thank you. I don't know if I'm the most hardworking. I don't know if I'm the most hardworking.
Are.
I'm up there probably though.
You have been in the community organizing. In fact, one of the reasons why I know you, because you've been helping out the Filipino seniors throughout those years when dad and mom were alive. I know you were a vital part of their, organizing the Filipino American Seniors Association of Queens before, and you had your own organization. Would you mind telling us before we go to your background as a Filipino American in our area, our link? And I know you knew my parents, they died 2017-18. But how was that? Your link with the Filipino Filipino seniors in the area that time?
Yeah, I think it's a mix. I think I first met them when I was a long time ago. I was with FASI, Filipino American Human Services Inc., and they were, there were seniors that were doing the dancing. They were doing the practice at the office. And then I think also when I was with Philippine Forum, they were also doing the same thing. They were dancing, practicing, getting people involved, exercising. And I think at the time I was really working with Filipino seniors also because of the World War II veterans, the Filipino World War II Veterans Equity Campaign. So we used to just get a lot of the veterans that were in New York, and I used to pick them up and drive them to DC to lobby and campaign. And there was quite a few in Jackson Heights. If you remember, there was a McDonald's on Roosevelt and Jackson Heights. They would all go there and just take a table and buy 1 cup of coffee for the whole day and hang out. So I was hanging out with all of the seniors there. And then we did a few events. I remember that when the centers were shutting down, unfortunately, and there was no funding or even just access to space. I remember I was visiting your parents, and they were still doing the dances. They were still doing it in the Jackson Heights seniors, the one on Broadway, right? So they were. Right. I saw them all the time. They were great community leaders, and I could tell they'd be proud to see hosting your own show and doing what you're doing now.
Yes, I think I got it from them. Daddy and mommy were really good organizers. They're usually presidents of organizations and stuff. How were your parents, by the way?
Oh, both my parents unfortunately have passed away. This far, my dad passed away when I was young. I was 7 years old. My mom just passed away recently. I feel like a few months ago, right before COVID. But yeah. But she was very also involved in the community here in Woodside. Knows a lot of the small businesses here, and love the neighborhood. So happy to continue helping and supporting our friends and neighbors here.
I always say to my friends, it was like a year and a half of me taking care of dad and mom. But I was just imagining, what if it happened during COVID time that I wasn't able to visit them? I really feel it with families who could not visit their friends and relatives who are senior citizens. But I mean, praise God, perfect timing. But as I mentioned, I'm proud of dad and mom, and likewise, I wonder if we can go to. Did your mom actually expect you to be a nurse?
Oh.
Even during my, before mommy passed away, she would still say, "Oh, you could still be a doctor."
Yeah, it's never too late, right? You could always go to nursing school or law school or
My sister went back to school nursing. She's a nurse now.
Yeah.
She went back to school in her 40s.
See, I mean, it's always an option for us. No,
But
my mom.
what was your background?
Yeah, my I always joked around. I'm like, Mom, you want me to be a nurse, right? Is that what you really? Is this just your plan? But no, she was always her answer, and that's surprising is nope. Whatever would make you happy and what you want to do. I never replied back. Well, then I'm going to nursing school. I never said that, but so she was always just supportive on whatever I would do. So lucky that way.
So would you mind talking about? I think you studied abroad, right? You didn't study in the U.S. or?
I got my undergraduate degree here. I have a master's in public policy and public administration here. But I also I was in Egypt for 1.5 to 2 years, studying international human rights law at the American University in Cairo. So it was a really funny time. I'll say funny loosely. I was there before and after the Arab Spring. So I was there when it was under a dictatorship and Mubarak was still in power, and there's tanks and machine guns and all these soldiers in every block when I'm just trying to go home or go to class. And then right after the change of power in Egypt, it was clearer streets and just a different vibe. Also, I was in UP for a program at the College of Arts and Letters at Cal, and it was for Philippine studies. So that was a very fun time too.
I didn't know that. I studied in UP,
Yeah, I know. That's why I
College of Mass Communication. There's no UP Film Center yet. It was College of Mass Communication. I'm majoring in film and audiovisual.
No.
1 million years ago.
No.
Because I'm a lot older than you. I'm 75 years old.
Come on, that's what it is. You need to tell me what your moisturizer you're using, because I want to look like that at 75.
It's oil of Olay. and drinking a lot of this. Drinking a lot of Yoli. But anyway.
Wait. I keep hearing about that. What is that? How come everybody's trying to sell me some Yoli? What is this? What's going on?
We will talk after this.
Oh no. That's episode number 2.
I have tons and tons. But anyway,
okay.
Yeah. Talking about your Filipino life. You always have been in the Little Manila area, right? I mean, you as an adult, you've always lived in Woodside?
Yes, as defined adult, but yes, my whole adult life has been pretty much here. But I've been back and forth, when I studied at in Egypt for a bit. But I always had my place here, and my mom was in Queens, and she would be here, and I have a family that's been here for decades. So, but yeah, for most of the time, I've lived in Woodside as the main location in my life.
And a lot of the nonprofits that you've helped out are in the area, right? What is it specifically with our area? Not only because of the Filipinos living here, but what makes it touching to your heart, or something that you want to serve in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all personal. I can joke around it's the food. Obviously, it's the best part over here. Did you get when you get off 69th Street and you smell the barbecue already on there? It's the best smelling stop according to myself and others. But just just memories. I remember me and my dad going to the 7 train, and I'm getting tired of. Or lazy, I don't know, of going up the stairs and you have to pick me up to bring me, out to the platform, or even just the last few years when I'm going to work and I see my mom randomly on the street waving, and I'm like, no, stop, what are you doing? So it's hey, son, and I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's just like memories like that of like a familiar or like friends and family. So definitely a special a place in my heart for it.
Filipinos are usually they're usually gonna ask you this. Oh, where are your parents from? My daddy's from Quezon and my mom's from Abra. So I'm Ilocano and Tagalog. So how about you? What's your combination?
Oh, my combination is 100% from Laguna. My dad is from Lumban. My mom is from Alaminos, and I spent time in San Pablo. I went to pre-K there. Mhm.
Oh, my dad was actually born in Louisiana, Laguna.
Oh, see, that's where again we're connected there.
Oh, we're both Tagalog.
I
That's
know.
fun. So yeah, so tell me about what's the difference since you've seen the whole world living in Middle East, the Philippines, and here. How would you compare that to being appreciative of living in America? Because I always tell some folks, like people who don't appreciate living in America, I go like, we are so lucky we live in America during this time. Even before, I'm really really appreciative of being here. But can you actually compare that you've lived in the Middle East, the Philippines, and here? How actually are we lucky that we live in America?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't broadly say that, we live in America. We're in a more special place. We live in New York, Lewis. Okay,
I like
that's
that.
that's a higher bar
Authority.
than other
The
parts of
global,
our country.
the global city. Yeah,
Yeah.
Elaborate, please.
I mean, for instance, we can go outside and the restaurants aren't, 100% open and masks are optional. Like we have kind of standards here in our city. But I think you learn to appreciate it more because, either growing up here or coming here later on, you can you see the difference, you feel the difference, right? And especially when you go to like other cities that not just in America but outside. um I feel like we're more open to different cultures. I feel we're more open to like an immigrant either struggle or lifestyle and hard work and perseverance. And that's something you see in other countries too. Like you see that every day in the Philippines on what people have to overcome. Just walking down the street, I saw that every day in Egypt. I lived in martial law in Cairo, so you see what people had to go through, and again in New York, not everybody is like living in the Upper East or Upper West Side or like in FIDI. There are a lot of people struggling and need help, and a lot of that are Asian Americans, a lot of that are Filipinos too. And hopefully that's something as a community we can help them with.
And you actually, I mentioned that Astoria, Long Island City, Woodside, those area actually is the most diversified area in New York City or maybe in the world. So would you mind telling people who don't know our area how fun and diversified we are in this beautiful part of Queens?
Yeah, it's the most diverse, in well, actually next door, Jackson Heights, so they say, is the most diverse zip code, at least throughout. But Woodside's not that far out. I mean, literally Jackson Heights just a few blocks that way. But yeah, I mean, there's all different cultures and they're all together. Like here, Little Manila, but a few blocks that way is apparently the best Thai food back to back to back to back in all of New York. Next to like the best like Nepali in New York, next to the best like South Asian in all of New York. So you could see that there's a respect and love and celebration of the cultures individually, but also together. So no other place like it for sure.
I've actually lived majority of my life now here because I left the Philippines right after graduation. So majority of my life is lived here now. This area has taught me to not see colors, but we're just one. Sometimes I even forget that, I'm Filipino, but otherwise, we're one with everyone. But anyways, besides maybe legal immigration and human rights, and of course the hate crimes that are happening right now amongst Asians, what are the pressing issues in our district, by the way, in District 26?
Oh, on the city council.
Yeah, I think I may parlay to that topic.
That's nice. I saw the transition. That's nice. I think number one in our district is housing, easily, even ostensibly with what's been going on. Just any land use stuff, just any development stuff. I mean, housing is up there, especially in the last year, because of COVID, because of the high or increasing rates of unemployment, and the call to cancel rent across the city, whether it's in the public housing in NYCHA or just across the board. And I think there's a lot of truth that in how that's or a lot of the need to cancel that is high, and it's something we should help those in our district who need it the most. So whether that's housing, whether that's small businesses that definitely need help and were hit in the last year, or whether that's our frontliners that are in Elmhurst Hospital right here, or the epicenter of the epicenter, they like to say, of COVID, and also across Queens. I mean, we've been very unfortunate to see a lot of these hospitals closed down, like St. John's, in the last decade, and we saw it or highlighted in a negative way in the last year, when we saw more body bags in hospitals than beds. So hopefully that's some things we could get right and take care of in the next city council session.
Amen to that. I've been talking to some nurses in Elmhurst Hospital. I was asking them, what's the difference now that there are less deaths? One of the reasons they say is that they know how to treat it now. There are treatments and they know how to do it. But anyways, talking about treatments, the both of us are pro-vaccine, correct?
I hope so. I just got that Johnson & Johnson a few days ago. So it's...
okay,
yeah.
so tell me, do you have any anecdote about that? Because I want to get the J&J, Johnson & Johnson. You have any story that I can,
No, it's just a story. No, I don't know if it's... I don't know if it's particularly applicable, but you'll see if you go to Javits Center, they split you up. You got to go in all these lines. But I went in the middle of the night. My appointment was like 11:30, and we're supposed to be done at midnight on Saturday, but it was relatively empty. So I was just running around, going through. The whole thing took less than 30-40 minutes, and when they split you up right in the end, the final stage where you're gonna go get the shot, it's not one line. They break you up into like seven different lines. And this lady cut me. I was on line number 1. She cut me, and I'm like, relax. So I went to line number 2, and then my line was the fastest line. So I was all the way in the front, and then I saw her in the back getting mad. And you know what? I'm still happy about that. I beat her to the shot. So yeah, I mean, for everyone who could go ahead and has the opportunity to do so, definitely get vaccinated. Me, my asthma has been also in my family. My mom had it. It's pretty severe. So that's why I could have got it a few weeks ago, but I had the opportunity to get the Johnson & Johnson one. So don't need to get a second dose. I'm just gonna wait it out until I'm good.
I totally believe in that too. I went to my doctor today, and because of my asthma also, I'm going to be able to take it, even though I'm not quite 75 years old.
No.
I was just joking about 75, but I am old. Anyways, you have to have the underlying factor of the high blood pressure, diabetes, and that. But my asthma, I think my high blood pressure is enough for me to be able to line up. But I will take the J&J because I believe in the one dose. And then I believe that it'll effectively vaccinate people if it's just one dose, and they can vaccinate more people. But anyways, talking about nonprofits, I've always been involved with a lot of nonprofits, Kalusugan Coalition, FASI, of course,
right.
And all of that. And that's Philippine American Senior Citizen Association of Queens. You have been involved with a lot. ARP, and now currently you're involved with the cancer.
Yes. with Susan G. Komen is where I work there now.
How can you say that your experience with the nonprofits will help you become a good councilman of New York City?
Multiple ways. I mean, this is the issue is particularly in America, at least, a lot of the reason that the nonprofit sector even emerged is because they took up the job that government wasn't doing. So when you're providing services, direct services, resources, or advocating for specific individuals or the most marginalized in our community, those were things that the government was supposed to do and didn't do it. And this is now we have three sectors working together instead of just public and private. So that on day one is something that we can that'll only strengthen the next city council member or whoever they win or whoever wins, because you're going to have an opportunity to see an intermingling of both in government experience that I do have within this district on a daily full-time basis, but also on the advocacy end, so that with everything going on and us coming out of COVID, on day one, you're going to need somebody who understands what people are advocating for and what they need and the history behind it in this district, and also how the government responds and a proactive shepherding of resources and priorities would look like. Hopefully that's something I can do and have the opportunity to do one day, hopefully sooner than later. But we got a lot of other good candidates too. And I think we have a really good list to choose from as residents and voters of District 26.
Policy making, you have also been part of that with AARP, correct?
You got me mid drink. I didn't know it was a short question. It's yeah. I mean, I helping a few policies, initiatives, or legislation, mostly federal, actually. Working with Obamacare, like ACA, was one of my first things, or policy priorities for AARP. That's how old making me feel. It was President Obama on doing that. So got to work with with the Department of Labor, and went to a few events on the Hill and worked with other legislators, and got to go to the White House and drink their really good coffee a few times. But it was a good experience in making sure that Americans get the healthcare safety net that they need.
But by the way, I know you worked with a lot of issues of AAPI, right? Of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, but Filipinos are usually not in the mix. We are just clumped into just being Asian. But there are a lot of issues also of Filipinos here in our area as well. So maybe if you become a councilman, you will put us in the mix.
Sure, maybe. Are you going to vote for me?
Yeah, I'm pushing for everyone to help you out, volunteer, and of course, let's not forget. Hopefully, Sir Johan will be able to put the link that we need to contribute. We need to contribute to your campaign because it'll be matched, right? So hopefully,
it depends. First, we gotta.
No, it depends.
Well, hold on. I'm not saying no. I want it to be matched. It just we have to do it the right way.
But we're putting the link, and I will promote it the next few days, especially tonight.
Please.
That would do that. But anyways, yeah, Filipino in the mix. Please, please help Filipinos, your fellow Filipinos.
Especially if you live in the 5 boroughs of New York City, and even more especially if you live in Woodside, Sunnyside, South Astoria, and Long Island City, because that's going to go a long way. We
do, yeah. Thank you for helping out, and a lot of us, your friends, have been putting it out there. But Sir Johan of PHLV, Jeanette, and I, this is our own little effort of putting you out there, and hopefully people will contribute.
It's not little. This is a big help. So especially with you three, you guys are, you three speak for 3,000 at any given minute. So excited to be here.
And the nice thing about this is you can play it. You can do you can play it again, or you can give the link to other people.
I wish we included our conversation before this started airing, because that was some fun stuff too. Maybe we could add that into the video.
Yeah, so many things. Yeah, just putting Filipinos in the mix, because we're not really included. It's only recently that Filipinos are Filipinos. Usually we're just clumped as Asian. Or in some questions, are you non-Hispanic?
I I I don't.
Those are the questions.
Yeah.
I'm Hispanic or non-Hispanic, or am I white or non-white?
Well, every time you click on those surveys, right, that say are you Hispanic or not, and then click on the definition of Hispanic, or let's see, and they're gonna say from a country that has that was under, you know, like Spanish rule or influence of Spain. I'm like, so are we Hispanic? Hello, it's 333 years, but in terms of do we identify as more Asian, or are we under the umbrella of Asian? I mean, that's the big the fight in both the federal level, state, and the city on why we need data disaggregation for all Asian Americans. There's a few dozen subcategories of Asian Americans, and because we don't have that data there, a lot of the research that's done in our community is for nothing, because it just says, oh, there's a bunch of Asians in Woodside and Jackson Heights. Yeah, that's great, but we can't do anything with that because we need to know the breakdown. If are these folks from Bangladesh? Are they from the Philippines? Are they from Nepal? Where they're from? So yeah, I think we're headed towards there. I know the state assembly was pushing this and leading the way with that. Hopefully, we could do it in city council sometimes too.
And you did have a beautiful experience with, you were the former chief of staff of Assemblyman Brian Barnwell, who has been helping out the Filipinos in our area as well. I know that state assembly, and this is for council, what were the experiences at the assembly experience of yours that you can bring into being a councilman here in New York City?
I mean, there's two things. One is a lot of the processes when you're dealing with community leaders, other elected officials, that's already firsthand, and also understanding how a legislative calendar works, how we're going to file the bills, and how do we get sufficient community support and buy-in, so we could get these really good bills past the finish line and make them into laws to help New Yorkers. The other thing is also budget. Budget is huge. What are we going to vote on? I know, obviously, the thing they always say to hammer in your head is what a budget looks like is you know, the morals and the values of a community. So where do we give the money? Are the people, do we need it or not? And that's something I have firsthand experience in. Hopefully, I can serve our community with that knowledge. And it's similar to what you could do on the city council level.
Jamie Van Bramer is very famous in our area. And
I hope so. He's been a council member for a while. Yeah.
I am in the arts. You know, he's special for me because he's pushing for the arts, especially in Queens. Jimmy Van Bramer's position is what you're vying for. So talking about the arts, is there anything in your future plans about like maybe an Asian center or an art center within the heart of Woodside, or anything that you can talk about in the issue of pushing our cultural arts? Because a lot of us, even Nepali, even Filipinos, Indian, Bangladeshi, we have all this artistic stuff that we can put out there.
Yeah. I mean, the community's been talking about that for a while, right? I mean, just a center for the artistic talent we have in the area, and there's a lot, because especially before COVID, every few hours there's another cultural event that we always have to go to back to back. So we have a lot of talent. If we could find a place for it, I mean, that would be a very big deal. And where else more deserving than Western Queens, right?
Sir, I have a suggestion. Okay. When you pass through 7 train, there's a lot of empty Long Island City buildings. A lot, I can see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you make the left, like the Silver Cup Studios sign, right? You just see the empty
buildings I could see they're empty. Like, ooh, this could be a cultural center.
Yeah. And that's the big deal. It's just how do we find those spaces? To what extent is there land to even to help make something like this for the community? it's going to be a big fight either way because it's New York City. There's not a lot of this space around, no matter what. And we just have to make sure, though, that whenever there is this public land, that we use it for public use. And if there are these, these buildings and empty location that you say is that how do we give it to the community to empower it, not to more of the super rich or the super wealthy that might buy a building and just leave it there just so we could pass by it on the train every day.
Yes. Because there are places out there, like even the moving museum, even Lincoln Center, there is supposed to be available for other cultures and stuff, but they're cost prohibitive. A lot of them, you need to rent like thousands and thousands just for a couple of hours. We need something that's really affordable for Filipinos, Asians, and anyone, but everyone in our area to be able to put a beautiful cultural event.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue, that it isn't just with like Filipinos or Asians, or even the arts, but especially the arts. I'm with you there. But it's something that it's the same argument people make with housing, or space for their small business, or the lack of places to even build a school. There's funds to build a school. The school construction authorities already mentioned that a few times. The funds there, it's just there's no space. They're trying to look for the space first, and it's the same struggle, the same issue with multiple sectors across the city. So that's something that the next city council makeup, or whatever, all the members that make up the next city council will have to deal with. And looking at all the great candidates across the city, I'm sure it's going to be a priority for sure.
Before I ask for your platform, in the Philippines, they will ask you, what is your plataforma? Anak, anong plataforma mo? No, before I ask
that sounds Italian, but I'll take it from you.
I'll ask you, there are two other Filipino Americans that are running for city council position, right? How exciting is that?
No, it is exciting, right? I mean, it's good because it shows that it's two things: that our community has a talent to showcase what we can contribute to the greatest city in the world, and second, that people have the guts to pull the trigger and actually go for it, right?
And what was I gonna say? What is the difference with New Jersey? Because in New Jersey we've had mayors already.
Wait, is your question what's the difference between New York and New Jersey? They've
had a lot of positions already. They've had councilmen, Rolando Navarro. They got mayors, and so this is the first time that we're gonna have, if ever, Filipino Americans in our.
Well, I mean, it's not the first time Filipino Americans have ran for city council. Ed Santos ran a few years ago. Up in like northern Manhattan's South Bronx area, and I think there might have been one or two others as well. The big reason from New Jersey and New York, and why that's the big differentiator, and why they have mayors and city council members down the line, and from all of New Jersey, is that it's a closed primary state. I'm sorry, it's an open primary state. New York is closed. So that means that you have to, because everybody thinks that the election is in November, right? That's the big one. That's the one the media puts out there, that we have to focus on November. In New York, you have to focus on the primary. And here it's in June.
In June 22? June 22?
Yeah, so you see, we're always connecting this whole interview. So in New Jersey, since it's open, it doesn't matter really what party you're registered with. You can always vote for whoever you want. So if you could be a Democrat, an independent, a Republican, if you see a Filipino running, you're always going to vote for support the Filipino, right? And that's one of the advantages there. In New York, no, you have to be registered in the party, and that's the only way you could win. And it's like a tournament, right? There's a first round and the finals. If you want to play in the finals, or if you want your friends to be in the finals, they have to beat the first round. And the first round is the primary, and that's why we need everybody's help, especially in New York, where it's 95% Democrat. I mean, that's where you win and lose in these elections. So I know some of our community is maybe registered but doesn't vote, or registered in the party but votes only in the general. But in New York City, how we can really impact elections and how we could impact the outcomes and policy agendas moving forward every day is to really vote in the primaries.
So what else do you need though? Campaign contributions, volunteers, and people who would register as a Democrat
Yeah, I mean
to vote.
it's all of that. I think it's an order of priority. You said that too, but whatever people can give, right? I mean, I know our community is not we help out in different ways. So whatever people feel comfortable with, go ahead and donate. Especially if you live in the five boroughs, especially live in Woodside, Sunnyside, LIC, Astoria. That'll definitely a leg up. But also just come out and support. If it's the first time that you want to learn how the process goes, come out and maybe meet other your neighbors over here. We're going to be, especially when it's getting warmer, as we move forward, we're going to be tabling outside, meeting people, maybe possibly knock doors if it's safe, and just make sure we meet our friends and neighbors and the residents here where they are. That's really how we're going to impact not just the Filipino community but the larger Western Queens community.
And I'd like to thank our fellow Filipino Americans who did the comedy hour for your campaign contribution.
Yeah. Did you like that? Do you want to do a 5-minute set next time? We're gonna do it again.
That was fun. Yeah, whatever. But thank you for involving me with that one. That was fun and involving everybody in our community. I saw familiar faces and new faces. Mm-hmm. And also, I appreciate, thank you for you and Julie for actually doing that rally against anti-Asian American hate crimes in Sunnyside a few days ago. Thank you for doing that. That was eye-opening for all of us. So how was that experience for you?
I mean, it was a great experience because you were in the front row videotaping the whole time. So I'm like, I have to stand my toes because this is going to be commented on social media. So it was good. I mean, obviously we did that event with Julie Wan, who's also running for this seat, which proves that you don't have to be, you're running for the same thing, but you don't have to be adversarial depending on the issue, and this is an issue bigger than an election. So about I think 2 weekends ago at this point, there was the big anti-Asian hate rally downtown, and all the elected officials are there, advocacy groups are there, but I think who stole the show in terms of speakers was Noel Quintana, who is the Filipino American got sliced in the face, right, just minding his business. And this is not just someone who is, again, yes, he's just going to work, or he's just just trying to get where he's going to go, but this guy's also heavily involved in like the church. He's a big time volunteer at the Brigham Center with Father Julian. This is not a person who, not that anyone deserves this, but particularly someone who is just so giving of himself already to his friends, his family, to God, and this is not what he should have experienced at all. So saw Julie there afterwards, and we agreed that's just something we should have done in the district too, that downtown New York doesn't own a monopoly on advocating for the Asian American community. So hosting it in Sunnyside was great over the weekend. And what was particularly interesting is most of the crowd, it seemed to me, I mean, people had masks on, weren't Asian. So there's a lot of non-Asian allies there, and that kind of highlights the spirit and the advocacy spirit of Sunnyside and Western Queens. So great to have that event.
And it's very generous of you guys to allow nonprofits, community leaders, and also other candidates to talk, for a few minutes. And I saw Jimmy Van Bramer also speak, and that was exciting. But thank you very much. You guys are very generous. You got the heart of gold, and I know you will be a great councilman. So, your uncle will ask you, what is your plataforma, anak? So what is your platform to end our conversation? And before we encourage everyone to do their contribution, I will be putting on comment. And also you can PM me. I will put it on the wall, the link that you can contribute to the campaign of Steven Rada for councilman seat for District 26. Yeah, I know policies, platform, whatever you can say, and then your ending words.
Ending. You're kicking me out already. I thought we were gonna. Yeah, it's yeah. Our focus very high level at least. We want to focus on rights, resilience, and renewal. I think for rights, we want to focus on civil rights, human rights, and a right to a living wage. So I've been working with the New York Committee for the Federal Civil Rights Commission for the last 5 years already. So making sure there's no discrimination in policing, in housing, in healthcare, and education, and I think that's something I'd love to pursue and push, advocate for at the city level. Human rights, I have a background in human rights advocacy and human rights law, so it's quite interesting to me that a lot of the international treaties that maybe the U.S. even signed is not ratified on a national level. So if there was ever a city in America that should have some sort of human rights standard, it would be an international city like New York. I think you would agree. And lastly, on the rights is, I believe, and my team believes, that we should have a right to a living wage here in New York. And last I checked, earlier this week, MIT calculates that in New York, the minimum wage per hour right now should be 21.77 cents. So, I mean, if we're coming out of a pandemic and we are saying that we should be worshiping frontline workers, you would think that living minimum wage for New York City is something that's basic and should be prioritized. But also, if we could follow up and help small business owners too, right? And make sure that they're not negatively impacted. And that's something that the government can probably oversee and support as well. And overall, the other resilience and renewal, we just want to make sure that we come out of this not just intact as of pre-COVID, but that we build upon it for a better Western Queens, better Sunnyside, Woodside, LIC, and Astoria, and New York City. So hopefully we'll, we could make it through the finish line at election day, and that would be an honor to serve and work with other council members next year.
Wow, I'm so excited about that, and looking forward to your June 22. But of course, before that, volunteer and do look for any postings of Steven Rada about that, and of course the contribution. So we'll put the link here. Sorry, there's like wrong spelling on the link. It said Rada, but we're gonna change that. Steven Rada, R-A-G-A, for District 26. And I'm so excited. This is, I guess, my first time to be involved with this. But in the Philippines, a lot of my family are involved in politics. But if I may say, like, oh, I'm gonna follow you. Hopefully, your trajectory towards your council position and your campaigning for November. Hopefully, any last words? How about words of wisdom? I usually ask my filmmakers that I interview at the International Film Festival in Manhattan, what is the words of wisdom or motivational, quotes that you want to leave our people here?
I don't know. There's a lot you're gonna put me on.
You have a lot, I'm sure. You look like you're full of WOW, words of wisdom.
You know what? Honestly, hold on. You give me a second. I'll show you something I look at every day. Hold on.
Let's see. Encourage us, sir.
I'm pretty sure that this is also from the movie Hitch, by the way. But this is I told you that my mom passed away like a year and a half ago. I'm going through her like some of her pictures and her stuff, and I open this, I see this, and I open it up, I see what's inside, and she writes down in this little random yellow yellow piece of paper that life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, by the number of moments that take our breath away. And in my mom's hand right now, I know it's from Hitch because I saw that too. I don't know if she watched the movie, but that's kind of the things that also inspired me to run. Like, it's a scary thing, especially and we never had a Filipino American full-time elected official in the state of New York, not just the city. And it's a daunting thing, but in the end of the day, looking back, I would have regretted if I didn't do it. So had to go and see what not just what I would be made of, but our community. So happy to do so, and hopefully people can join me on this journey.
Yes, it's so fun that your mom's words is your final word in this interview. Yeah, our moms are really special in our lives, and yeah, I think that my dad and mom, and that's actually our link, my parents. So wow,
they
beautiful.
were great. They were great.
I am so grateful for you to give me this time. I know that you're back-to-back interviews, back-to-back meetings. Please give my regards to your team, Victoria, and everyone in the team. I know I'm gonna see you in live events because the weather's it's beautiful now.
I know it was 60 degrees today. It was nice.
I was out. Yeah, I was out.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
looking forward to helping out the campaign. Please, anybody but everybody. I'll be a PM personal messaging you about the link to contribute to Steven Rada's campaign. Please help out, volunteer, and also contribute. We need the contribution this week, right? And it'll be matched
by Thursday. We have we have a big deadline. We have a big deadline coming this Thursday. Again, we're kind of the underdog here. You know that, right? Where there's a lot of other candidates. Some have, or most of the vast majority have announced and declared and have been fundraising for well over a year already. And we kind of opened our bank account like 10 days ago or something like that. So we need all the support we can get. But it's a fun process, but we do have a disclosure deadline. Everybody does, not just city council, but the mayor, everyone running for mayor, which is in about 48 hours. So if anybody feels so moved to contribute, especially again, if you're in the 5 boroughs or in Woodside, Sunnyside, Astoria, Long Island City, trust me, it's going to go a long way. To clarify, 0 of it goes to my pocket, like not a penny. That goes to the campaign, goes to make sure our volunteers are fed, make sure we can get our literature out there and touch with the voters. And, maybe we're going to get some masks too, put that out there. And
even masks,
yeah. So we're going to have a few of those. So every little bit helps, and it's going to go a long way. Hopefully people can join us in this.
Thank you very much, man. Yes. I'm praying for you. You're going to make it for the primaries on to November, because God is going to give you that excitement of you being able to be part of that November election. I'm so excited. Steven Rada in the house, running for council position in District 26 here in Queens, New York City. On behalf, of course, thank you, Steven Rada. Thank you, our director, Sir Johan of PHLV Radio. On behalf of Janet Marco, I'd like to thank you guys for listening to our interview with Steven Rada. Thank you very much, and let's get real. Thank you. God bless. Mwah! Thank you. Yee! Be sure to like and post this again. Share it.
It's time to get real. Talking about the things you wanna hear. It's time to get real. We got it all right here. It's time to get real. Better buckle up, get real, get set. It's time to get real. We got it all